Okay, so we've got a recording. So just a few housekeepings. This is the first time that I've used Join Me to do a webinar. I use it almost daily to assist clients, but it's the first time I've had this many people on the platform. So we may run into a few hiccups along the way, but please bear with me. Well, I think we'll get through them. This is going to be a live demonstration, so there won't be a slide deck to share, but I will share links to everybody that registered for the websites that I visit today. As I just noted, I am recording this, and the plan is to make this available. Not exactly sure in what format that's going to be, but there'll be a follow-up email to you so that you can watch it if you'd like, or share it with someone who didn't have a chance to watch it. I do have everyone on mute except for Roz. Roz is our PTAC counselor in Billings, and she's going to be helping me out here. I'd like everybody to submit questions that they have in the chat box, or if you're having issues hearing me or something like that. And then Roz will be helping me make sure that I see those. And as we go along, if you think of anything or you have anything to share that's relevant that you think would be helpful, please share that in the chat box as well. I don't claim to know everything there is about government contracting, and I'm constantly learning, and I appreciate any input I get from you guys. All right, so for beginners, I know most of you are already PTAC clients, so I'm going to try to just go through this really quickly. But up on the screen, I have the Montana PTAC website. And for those of you that are not already clients, you can sign up for services in the upper right here on the Sign Up for Services link. Our services are free of charge. Some of the services that we provide, they're all listed here on the website. But basically, we help you with just about anything that has to do with selling your goods and services to the federal, state, and local government agencies. So whether it's getting registered in vendor management systems like EMAX for the state of Montana, or the System for Award Management, or SAM for federal. If you just need a DUNS number to get started, we can help you with all those things. We host trainings like this one to teach you about government contracting. We can help you find opportunities. We'll be talking about that later in this webinar. We also can help you understand solicitations if you find something you're interested in responding to. Just about anything that has to do with government contracting from beginning to end, we can help you with. Let's see, locations. So we're broken up. We're a statewide PTAC, so we cover the entire state. We're divided by service areas. So if you click on the locations link on our website, you'll get a map that shows the areas. My territory is Madison, Gallatin Park, Broadwater, and Lewis and Clark in the gray here. And once you figured out which PTAC is yours, you can scroll down and all of our contact information is down there. All right. So what we're going to be covering today, we're going to be talking about how to find government contracting opportunities with local governments. So we're going to talk about how to find RFPs, requests for proposals, requests for quote, invitations for bid, things like that. How to find opportunities that may not be appearing in those places. And I kind of mentioned this out of order, but I'm also going to be sharing some time-saving tips for you to make it easier for you to monitor some of these opportunities so you're not having to go out to all these different websites and checking them out all the time. Along the way, we're going to be talking about things like local procurement policies, things like that, and other places you can go to find opportunities at the local level. All right. So when we're talking about local government agencies, I think the two that are obvious to people are counties and municipalities, whether that's a city, a town, what have you. But don't forget that there are also school districts. And there are also other entities at the local level, things like water and sewer districts and airport authorities. So there are more opportunities there than you might think, and just make sure that you don't have blinders on and you're just looking at counties and cities. So first thing we're going to talk about is where to find opportunities. So I'm not going to be able to help that person. I don't know if you saw that alert. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go to City of Helena's website. So I shouldn't say a lot, some cities and counties in the state of Montana post their opportunities on their websites, which makes it really easy for us. Not all of them do. This is one for the City of Helena, and you'll see it is in the business section of their website. They actually have an entire page devoted to what they call bids, RFP, RFQ. And so you can see here, there's a few up here. Some of them look like they're old. This request for bid for audit services, looks like the deadline was April 23rd. There's one here for cured in place pipe sewer main rehabilitations project. Again, that one's past due. We go down, there's some that are still open. They're looking for, now that one's past due as well. Here's one that's still open. Helena Public Art Committee has a request for proposal for an interactive sculpture to be placed in Wesleyan Park in Helena. So you can see they're all posted here. I don't know how long Helena usually keeps these up, but they do have links to the full bid. So if you click on the link, these are usually in PDF format. This is the full solicitation here. It's 25 pages. And if you need help, reading through this and understanding this, this is one of the services that PTACs can help with. So reach out to your local PTAC counselor and we can help guide you through this. So if you, just some tips as far as finding these websites. One, if you're a client of mine, I've amassed a pretty significant bookmark file for entities in my area. So I can certainly, if you're looking for a particular city or county or what have you, I could certainly share that with you. You could go out and do some Googling and visit your local entity's website. And some of the keywords you want to be looking for are solicitations, requests for proposals, requests for quote, RFP, RFQ, invitation for bid. So that's some of the language that's used. So if you want to try to find the websites that, the pages on the websites that are for your particular local agency. Okay. So if they're not posted, well, they might be posted on the website and also posted in other places, but another common place where local governments post their opportunities is in the legal ads in the newspapers. So you might have a subscription to your local newspaper or you pick it up at the local store. But what if you offer services across the state of Montana and you don't have subscriptions to all those different websites or all those different newspapers? Well, there is a resource that you can use thanks to the Montana Newspaper Association that lets you search those. So we're going to go here, and I should probably tell you these. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna pass out the or email out all the links for the websites I visit, but this one is montanapublicnotices.com. And we're in their their public notices search page. So what this is, Montana Newspaper Association has all their member newspapers, which you see here. There's 91 listed here. they have them code their legal ads with a certain code that flags it as a public notice. And so what they do is they go ahead and put all of the ads into a database, and that little code identifies ads that are public notices, and so then they can use this search interface that they've set up to look for those. So let's just give you an example. Let's say that I am interested in selling musical instruments in Helena. So I am going to uncheck all of these boxes here, and I'm just going to go to the Helena newspaper, which is the independent record, and I'm going to check that box. And then for search terms, I'm going to put music and instruments. And for the range, I'm going to say 1 month prior. So you can see there's some other search abilities here. You can search by county. You know, the default when you log in is that all the boxes are checked, but I'm just for the sake of demonstrating how this works, I've already kind of pre-tested this. I just want to make sure that we come up with one that we can use so I can show you how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click the search button. Melinda, you may have to log back out and log back in if it's not advancing. So unfortunately, this search is taking a bit longer. Okay, so here we are, and you can see there's a whole bunch of results. I think it's probably multiple listings for the same RFP, but we can see here on the left-hand side that East Helena Public Schools is soliciting a request for proposal. Oh, this is actually for computer and technology equipment. So what you have to do actually is click on the link of one of the keywords that you selected, and that takes you to that ad. And so here we have request for proposals, band, music, and choral equipment, East Helena Public Schools. So it tells us they're soliciting an RFP, tells you what they're looking for, tells you how to get more information, where to submit things, what the deadline is. And this right here, this MNA XLP, that's the code I talked about. So that's what flags to this system that this is a legal notice. So this is kind of helpful because here in Montana, there's not a lot of agencies, local agencies, you know, cities, counties, municipalities that post things on their own website. And so a lot of them still do it in the newspaper. So if you don't subscribe to your local newspaper, or you are targeting government entities that are outside of your local area, this is a great website. One thing, actually a couple things I will point out about this is it has some limitations. So if there were an article or maybe a display ad on the same page as the legal notices, the system's not smart enough to differentiate those. So you may end up getting results when you do a search that really aren't for like RFPs or RFQs. But it's still better than not having the search capability at all. The other thing I'll point out is that Montana Newspaper Association, if you don't want to have to go to this website every day and do your search, they do have a clipping service. It costs money, but they will email you when they find your search terms. And so let me just pull that up. And that's used for things beyond just finding opportunities. It's if a company wants to know every time they're mentioned in a newspaper article or something like that, that's what a clipping service would be used for. So if you just go to mtnewspapers.com and click on the clipping service link, there's information there on how to subscribe to that. All right. So we mentioned that not a lot of Montana companies post their opportunities on a website. I think quite a few of them probably do post them in the newspapers, but some of them are still pretty old-fashioned. So the other place where you're going to find opportunities like this might be on a bulletin board in your county courthouse or your school district's head office building. So that doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're going to try and do your searching from home in front of your computer, but it is an advantage to you if you're a local company and you don't want to have to compete with people from other parts of the state or maybe out of state. So it kind of has its advantages and disadvantages, but that is something that we do see in parts of Montana still. It's just the old-fashioned paper tacked up to a bulletin board. Okay, so we talked about the clipping service being a time saver. We are going to now talk about a bid match service from the Montana PTAC. I'm sure some of you are already subscribers of this. For those of you that aren't, this is completely free if you're a client. And what it is, it goes out and looks at all these hundreds of websites where solicitations are posted and sends you an email when it finds a match for something that matches a search profile that we've set up with you. So your PTAC client will set up a search profile with you. It'll have keywords, potentially some NAICS codes or product service codes. You can put geographic restrictions on it and things like that. So here is the website for the database that is used for this. So it's called USA Bid. We're going to go down to Montana. And you can see here, these are the different websites that are being monitored by our bid match service. So in my service area, City of Bozeman, City of Helena, Gallatin County, Madison County, those are the only ones that are up there. You can see it's also, this isn't the focus today, but it also monitors EMAX, which is the state procurement system, vendor management system, and also has small opportunities from the U.S. Forest Service here. And then if you're interested, if you're capable of doing things beyond Montana, but you're still interested in local opportunities, you can see here that if you look at the complete web list, there are hundreds and hundreds of websites that are monitored. So you can imagine having to go out to each of these websites on a daily basis and putting in search terms and knowing the intricacies of each different website can be pretty time consuming. And really, nobody would have time to do that. So bid match our bid match service really saves you a lot of time. So the way it works, I'll show you. So this is from the help page, but just to show you some screenshots of what you would see. If you sign up for the service, on a daily basis, you'd get an email, unless there weren't any matches, and then you would not get an email. And you can see here, this is just a screenshot of what that email looks like. So in this particular one, there's 57 matches, and the bottom of it's cut off, but you can see it just lists a product service code, the title, and the entity that posted the opportunity. And so if you're interested in any of those, you go ahead and click on the link, and it takes you to your dashboard. Your dashboard shows you the last 30 days of matches, and so you can go back if you didn't have an opportunity to open your email recently. You can just go to this dashboard, and you can look at them all from there. You just click on the date you're interested, and it gives you a list. And again, it just kind of gives you a basic overview of the title and who's posting it. shows you what keywords caused it to match. You just go ahead and click on whichever one of those you're interested in. And this screenshot's really hard to see, but it'll show you, it does what's called a scrape of the screen. And so you'll just see text of the opportunity here. And if it's interesting enough that you want to learn more about it, you can go ahead and click on the link. There's always a URL at the bottom that shows where this came from. And that'll take you to the original posting. And then from there, there's usually attachments and things that you can download and review. And sometimes just because of the way websites are programmed, it'll dump you to a login page. It won't take you directly to the opportunity. But if you run into that issue, just let your PTAC counselor know, and they'll help you figure out how to get to it. So that's completely free if you're a client of the PTAC. There are pay services out there, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about those because I honestly don't subscribe to any of them. But here are a few of the more well-known services. And again, I'm not endorsing any of these, but here's BidNet. So just as an example, we can click on Montana here and click on View Bids. And it gives us a little teaser on some of the kinds of things that you would see if you were subscribed to this. So I don't know if we can actually click. No, see, once you click on it, they want you to contact them so that they can get your credit card number. But if you're interested in checking out one of these pay services, you can do that. Another one here is BidSync. And this one actually offers a free plan. It's very limited, but if you click the try for free, you can see here, it gives you all Periscope agency network bids from within one state. So I tried this a while ago. I haven't subscribed to it lately. I don't know how it compares. If you're interested in seeing, how it compares to like our bid match service, you could subscribe to both and do your own analysis. There's been quite a bit of consolidation in the marketplace when it comes to these services. So some of you might have been familiar with Onvia or GovWin. They're all combined now due to acquisitions through Deltek. Bonfire Interactive is another one. BidOcean's another one. BidOcean also offers a free basic membership. I'm not exactly sure what's involved with that, but anyway, just pointing out that those are out there. If you have any feedback on any of those, or you know of any other ones, let me know. I'm always interested in hearing feedback from clients on what's working and what's not working for them, so we can share it with other clients. If you're a construction company, you probably already know this, but there are things called plan libraries or builders exchanges. And so we're going to go to this to show you that. This is montanabid.com, and this is kind of a, I don't know how it came to be, but all these different plan exchanges, I don't think there's common ownership, but they all got together and they have this common website. But if you click on members, and we're going to go to the Bozeman one. So what these do basically is it's kind of like a bid match service. It's a place where it shows opportunities, but it really specializes in the trades and in construction projects, things like that. And there's also access to important plans, which are important when you need to know the specifications. You need to know exactly everything that's involved if you're going to quote on something or submit a proposal. So there's a lot more information there sometimes than you might find in like the legal ads in the newspaper. So if you're in construction, or you're a subcontractor for construction, it might be worth it to get a membership in with one of these plan libraries. The Bozeman one does offer a free monthly project list here. You can click, enter your email address and sign up. I don't know how extensive that is and how it compares to their paid subscription, but that's something to check out if you're on a budget. So there's that. Another thing, and this is kind of a little out of the ordinary. If you're not very tech savvy, you might be uncomfortable with this, but there are website monitoring services out there that will let you know when changes have been made to a website. So one that I have used is called Change Tower. So go to changetower.com. And we're going to go ahead and log in. Oh, we're not, because I'm on the guest account. What I will do, I will show you. I did this on purpose here. I will show you what one of these looks like. So, let me pull it up. So this is not a local example, but just to show you the capability of this website. What you do, there's different options. You can just type in a website and it can let you know every time there's a change with that website, or some of these different services allow you to, block off a part of a website and it'll let you know when that part of the website changed. But here I used it to monitor when changes had been made to this Northern Rockies Coordinating Group website where wildland fire suppression solicitations and updates are posted. So you can see here I got an email and it let me know everything that's in green are things that were added. So you can see they added some text to this page, they added a link. Everything that's red with the cross out means that they've removed it. So this can be used if, let's say, you're interested in monitoring a opportunity page at a county or a city, but you don't want to go and visit the website every day, but you'd like to know when changes have been made. So you can go ahead and set up one of these website monitoring services and it'll email you when changes are made. So it saves you some time. It is, the Change Tower only allows you, I think, to monitor 3 for free before you have to subscribe. But it's worth looking into if, again, you don't want to have to keep visiting all these websites again and again and again, and you know who you're targeting and you know where they're posting opportunities. You just don't want to have to go there every day and check for updates. Another one that offers a free plan is called Distill. I don't have an account set up on that one, but just to let you know what that looks like, they do have a free account. And there are others out there, and I haven't checked lately, but some of them may also offer free options, but I know quite a few of them do charge. So, all right, so moving on, let's see. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about finding opportunities that are not showing up as RFQs or RFPs or invitations for bid. So how do we do that? Well, one way is to make sure that you know your local procurement officials. So it's going to be a lot easier sometimes just to pick up the phone or go down to the county courthouse and talk to the person in charge of procurement and tell them what your services are. If you have a capability statement, you can share that with them. Find out if they buy what you sell. Find out if there's any opportunities coming up. Find out what the procurement policies are. So that can be easier than some of these other things I'm going to show you. But with these local government entities, a lot of times they don't have dedicated procurement personnel. So Gallatin County, for example, does have someone who's in charge of procurement, but you go to a small city or a smaller county and maybe it's spread out across all kinds of people. Maybe the office manager does some procurement. Maybe the public works director does some procurement. and there's not one person who's really in charge of it and may not know all the procurement policies. So that's not always an option, but definitely, you know, old-fashioned networking and reaching out to people and introducing yourself and asking questions is one of the easier ways to find some opportunities. If you can't find someone and you have to do some digging on your own, I do recommend that you get to know the procurement policies for the agencies that you're targeting. I'm going to pull up, where did it go? I'm going to pull up Bozeman's procurement policy. And this is posted, I think, on their website. I don't remember where I got it. Either on their website or I think I got it from maybe one of their meeting minutes. But so I'm going to pull that up so you can see what this looks like and why it's important. This might be an older version, actually, dated 2013. But it tells you things that would be important to know if you want to do business with the city of Bozeman. So it talks about credit card transactions. Down here, it talks about purchasing goods. So you can see here, up to $5,000 per unit, the department may purchase at the department head's authorized signatory's discretion. $5,001 to $20,000 per unit. The department may purchase at the department head's authorized signatory discretion with a minimum of 2 written quotes or other documentation for the item. So you can see here, if what you sell is in one of those price ranges, you're never going to see a solicitation posted for it. And what you're going to have to do is more in line with maybe what you do in the commercial marketplace, which is, you know, some of your traditional marketing, making your target market aware of you, you know, running promotions, what have you. We look here, $20,001 to $79,999, minimum of 2 written quotes prepared for the city by vendors is required. And then we see here, it's not until we get up to $80,000 and above that they have the formal advertisement process outlined in state law. So, and then it goes in and talks about purchasing services. And you'll see a lot of similarities here because a lot of cities and counties have adopted the Montana Procurement Act. And so, you know, you still want to check and make sure that your particular entity that you're interested in selling to, you know, doesn't do something drastically different. But as you start looking at more of these, you'll see some commonalities. But it's important as you think about strategy and selling to the government. If I sell, you know, coffee, and that's probably not ever going to reach a level where, you know, they're going to require public, you know, notices or things like that. So it just helps define your strategy that you use. So, okay. Oh, and as long as we're talking about this, one of the things I kind of teased in the agenda for this webinar is local vendor preferences. So in my service area, I am only aware of one government entity that has a local vendor preference, at least codified. Some of them may do it informally, and that's City of Livingston. So if you scroll down to the bottom here, it talks about the local vendor preference. So City of Livingston has a local vendor preference policy to give some preference to local vendors and service providers. If the purchase price is within 5% of the purchase price of a non-local vendor, the purchase is less than $5,000, they'll give it to the local vendor. If the purchase price is within 2% of the purchase price of a non-local vendor for purchases more than $5,000, they'll give it to the local vendor. So Livingston's the only one I'm aware of in my service area, but if you know of any others, let me know. I'm, again, always anxious to hear about or learn new things. So most of the places that I've encountered, I do not see local vendor preferences. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You'll even see that in some meeting notes from meeting minutes from town council meetings, things like that. So if you provide services, I kind of skipped over this, but the procurement policies do talk about things like professional service agreements. One of the things you'll want to know is if there's term contracts. It's possible that the product or service that you sell is something that the agency already has an agreement for. So they've got like a multi-year agreement or contract in place. And so there may not be an opportunity for you to sell to them until the next time that's resolicited. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can find some of those in a bit here. You can also ask your local procurement officers, city officials, county officials. But if that's not a possibility, one thing that is a wealth of information is meeting minutes. And so that's what I'm going to focus on next, is finding opportunities that are not posted publicly as solicitations, public advertisements. So the one entity that I like to use as an example, because they do a really great job of this, I keep saying entity, I guess they're agencies, but agency just seems like something you talk about on the federal level. So the town of West Yellowstone, I really wish that all cities and counties in my service area were as good as they were, as transparent and as complete and detailed when it comes to documenting their town council meetings. So I'm going to show you, we're going to click on the April 21st town council packet. And one of the things I mentioned, let me go down to that section here. Okay, so one of the things I talked about is, like, let's say you sell something that's like a smaller dollar valued item, whether that's paper clips or coffee or what have you. You're not going to find public bid advertisements, but what you can do is do some market research and figure out who the town or county is currently buying from. And if you're selling in that price range, where you would find that is in something called a claims approval list. They're actually called different things. Throughout my service area, I've looked at a number of these, and some of the things that are used, some of the terminology that's used is vendor payments, invoices paid, bills, warrants payable, expenditure approval list. But Town of West Yellowstone always includes it in their meeting packets. And so you can look at the details of them. So, for example, and I don't know, maybe I should make this bigger. I'm not in PDF or in Adobe. So I don't know if you can see this, but we're going to go down here, and we see here there's some water rights work that was done by Miller Law. One of the payments was $2,800. Another one was $3,600. So that's not insignificant, but if you were an attorney and specialized in water rights, you would probably be interested in knowing that. You can even get some details on purchase cards. So we see here, city cards, it lists what each of these purchases were that was made with the card. And you see a lot of these were Amazon. So we've got like supplies, desk organizers. So if you dealt in office supplies and you were a local vendor and you thought that you could compete with Amazon, it might be interesting to you to learn that, hey, the city employees are using their credit cards to buy office supplies from Amazon, and you may want to approach them about supplying them with, same types of things. What else? You see here, there's auto body repair. So a 1991 Ford F-350. Don't know what was done to it, but they spent $313 on it at Westgate Auto Body. So again, this is I understand you're not probably going to have a whole lot of time to be going through a lot of these things, but if you have a select one or two or maybe even a handful of towns or counties that you're focusing on, and you don't know a whole lot about who they're buying from or if they even buy what you sell, it might be worth it to spend some time looking through there. Again, it's probably going to be easier to pick up the phone and call somebody, but if you can't get a hold of them or you can't find the right person, this is another option that's available to you. And I will tell you, just on my own experience in my service area, a lot of the agencies don't supply the detailed list in their meeting minutes, but you could probably get it upon request. So something to keep in mind. And one thing too with these PDF documents for these meeting minutes, if you don't know how to use Control F, you should learn how to do that. That is how you quickly find something. It opens up the find box and then you just type it in and allows you to quickly go to, well, let's use it here. So to quickly go to the part in the document where that's listed. That comes in really handy when you're reviewing solicitations as well. Again, most of them are in PDF format. Some of them are are Word documents. But you know, if you're looking to see if a particular clause like the Buy American Act is included in a solicitation, and again, I'm getting into federal now, but that's a good way to find it really quickly. There is a paid service out there that makes it relatively easy to search these types of things, and it's called Smart Procure. It's not that cheap. We tried it out at the Montana PTAC for a little while and discontinued it. But what it does is they do, I don't know if they're called requests for information, but they have relationships with all these different entities across the United States, and they put their claims all into this database that you can search through. So I had an example, and where did that go? There it is. And I don't know what this costs. It's been a while since we looked at this, but this is back from 2016 when we had our trial on this. And you can see here my search. I was looking to see what agencies they had included in my service area. And so you can see here, Gallatin County, Department of Public Health, Lewis and Clark County, Madison County, East Helena Public Schools, Belgrade. So if you didn't want to have to go to each of these different entities' websites and you were interested in selling to all of them, you know, Smart Procure might make sense. Again, I'm not endorsing them, but it's something that just makes things easier, and you kind of have to weigh for yourself whether it's worth the expense. So, and if you're trying to break into the government marketplace, the local government marketplace, and you don't have relationships with these entities, any information you get about it is going to be really valuable and can help you determine how you're going to move forward in approaching these entities. So, all right, we're getting close to the time where I wanted to leave time for questions, so I might have to pick up the pace here. Okay, so some of the other things that you'll see, and I'm going to just pull up a PDF here. You'll see in these meeting minutes bid tabulations, bid openings, things like that. So I'm going to go to, I'm just going to go to page 69 because I know that's where it is. So here, for example, this learning center that West Yellowstone built in 2017 or 2018, this is a bid tab, shows you all the different contractors who bid on it and what they bid. So that's helpful. Sometimes you'll find in the meeting minutes also that there's dialogue that has been recorded in conjunction with bid openings. So sometimes you'll see that county commissioners are surprised that all the bids came in above the estimate. So then they talk about what they need to do. So some of that is helpful information as you're kind of devising a strategy to sell to them. Other things you will find in here. Let's see. I'm going to pull up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up. I can't remember if I think it's City of Bozeman, or maybe it's Gallatin County. Let's see. City of Bozeman. So they use AV Capture All. There's a few cities and counties in my service area that use this as well, and it's nice from the standpoint of it also includes video recording, or sometimes it's just an audio recording of the meeting. And so you see this is this is one from January 13th, so they posted the minutes already. But you'll see here throughout the minutes there's little hyperlinks with times, and so if you get to a particular part of the meeting where you're interested in learning more, you can click on that link and it'll go directly to that part of the meeting, and you can view it and then see everything that was talked about and not just what the secretary recorded. The one thing to look at if you're going to pay attention, if you're going to start combing through some of these meeting minutes, is that a lot of times the things you're going to be interested in, which are like bid openings, things like that, they're going to appear in what's known as the consent agenda, because usually they're determined to not be very controversial, so they don't really set aside their own agenda item for it. They just list them all out, and then as long as everybody's okay with them being on the consent agenda, they all get approved in one vote. So a lot of times, like I said, the types of things you're going to be interested in, bid openings, things like that, are going to be there. So in this particular one, we can see here, award bid for a new dump truck to Floyd's Truck Center in Belgrade, Montana, and authorize the interim city manager to sign purchase agreement. Tells you the total amount. Now, normally I would be able to click on this link, but I did it earlier today, and yeah, I'm still getting an error. But what it usually does is it takes you to the detailed document, whether that's a contract or a purchase order or what have you, and so you can view that. So another thing that you should be looking at if you're going to make a habit of checking out these meeting minutes is that I would just kind of get used to seeing, what shows up there. There might be reports from the Public Works Director, and you may see something where they're having an issue with their some particular piece of equipment. And, excuse me. And if you sell that piece of equipment, it would be good to know that, hey, the city's having trouble with that. There might be an opportunity for you to sell that to them in the future. So that's something, just kind of monitoring the environment, kind of, scanning these documents that your target markets are providing to you is a good way to kind of be aware of upcoming opportunities. Another thing you'll see in these, and I'm going to use West Yellowstone and that learning center again as an example, is you'll know if I guess this is kind of along the same lines of what I was talking about with the Public Works Director, but you'll know if there are issues. So let me pull this up. So we're going to go to page 7. Okay. And so one of the things you'll see here, if you read the notes, and again, like I said, West Yellowstone does a great job of documenting what was discussed. And so we see all the council members' opinions on here and what they talk about. And so one of the issues they were having with this learning center is they had come up with a way to post the opportunity, but it didn't work out. So they had advisement from this Think One Architects, and they were originally going to do a modular building, but they didn't get any bids for that project under those conditions. And so they redrew the plans for stick-build projects. Those of you that are in construction know what that means. I'm assuming it's with studs and framing, and bid it out again, which resulted in high bids. And so then they had to go back to the drawing board, and I think one recommended they use a construction manager at risk approach, which I think is what they ultimately ended up doing. But if you were monitoring the meeting minutes, or maybe you were a local resident and you attended the meetings in person, you'd understand, before they get to the point where they put out the bid again, what the issues have been. And maybe in the meantime, I don't know if it's possible, but in the meantime, you figured out ways to make it fit their needs better, come in, below their expectations, things like that. So these meeting minutes are just a wealth of information if you want to spend the time to look through them. Some of the other things I've come across, recently Madison County had a contractor who was working on a building at the airport, and you could see in the meeting minutes for months after, or meeting after meeting after meeting, that there was going to be issues and the contractor was not going to be able to complete it on time and on budget, and ultimately ended up that contract was terminated for default, and there was an opportunity for a new contractor to come in and finish it. And so that's something that you would just want to be aware of these opportunities that are coming up. And maybe if you're well networked in the community, maybe you'll hear about these through the grapevine anyway. But again, these meeting minutes are a great way to stay in touch with what's going on in these communities. So one thing when we talk to clients about things at the federal level or even the state of Montana, we encourage them to check out the forecasts on a regular basis so they can see what's coming down the pipe. I don't see a lot of forecasts published by cities and towns, but what I do see are things like strategic planning, capital improvements, budgets, things like that. So again, I'm giving an inordinate amount of time and attention to West Yellowstone, but we're going to go there again. If we go here, capital improvement plan, they have posted right here on the same website. You can see things that they are expecting to replace in the near future. Well, not necessarily near, it could be, a few years out, but it tells you, what department is needing it, what the budgeted cost is, when they anticipate to make that purchase. And so this is really valuable information, again, if you don't want to be coming back and checking meeting minutes and checking the legal ads in the newspaper, every day or every week or what have you. You can take a look at this and maybe you find something and you're like, oh, climbing wall in Pioneer Park, I supply climbing walls, or I could build a climbing wall. Let's see, fiscal year 21, $50,000. This is good information to have. And so even though West Yellowstone is very good at being transparent and things like this, I have seen these from other other cities and counties. I think City of Bozeman or Gallatin County just updated theirs recently. So that's something to pay attention to, especially if you're focusing on a new community where you haven't supplied them with things before. It's great to get to know what their upcoming needs are going to be. So there's that. And just kind of common sense, I guess, is just, be a consumer of what's going on in the, local or regional media. So if I was, let's say, perusing the BELGRADE news, and I came across this article this past September where it says, no bonds necessary for sewer expansion. It tells about this project that's going to be upcoming for a new $25 million sewer system to start next spring. So I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that they haven't put the bids out or announced this as a solicitation yet. But guess what? If you do the kind of work that's involved with something like that, this is important information to know. So, to put it on your calendar or to make it a greater emphasis among you or your employees to keep checking back and identify when this is going to be made public. Or if you're a subcontractor, you need to know that you should probably be lining up your relationships now, because by the time the solicitation is posted, it's probably too late to make those relationships. So be a consumer of the news and be thinking about how the things you read in the news could impact your business and where the opportunities lie. So there's that. Since we're running out of time, I'm not going to talk. Well, let me just mention really quickly. So another way to find opportunities with local governments is to participate in matchmaking events. The Montana PTAC has a big one in Billings every year. It had to be canceled this year because of the pandemic. We do our best to try to get local entities there. They're usually a smaller percentage. Again, a lot of times with these entities, there's not one person that's managing procurement, and it's spread across multiple people, and they maybe can't devote, half a day to come and sit at a matchmaking event. But they are great opportunities to talk to people face to face and get to know what their needs are and let them know what the things are that you sell. So matchmaking events. And then here in Montana, there are some associations that, if you're just trying to increase your awareness with city and county governments or administrations, there's associations of Montana Association of Counties, and then there's a Montana Association, actually it's called Montana League of Cities and Towns. You could certainly set up a booth at one of their annual events, or advertise in their newsletter, or be a associate sponsor, things like that. So the one thing that I had meant to get to that I'm not going to get to is cooperative purchasing. And so just the important thing to know is that some of these entities might be doing cooperative purchasing. And I'm actually just going to pull one website up before we get to the questions. So state of Montana, as long as there's a memorandum of understanding, cities and counties and school districts and tribes can actually make purchases using the term contracts that the state of Montana has. So these are things like, vehicle purchases, road materials. List some of them here. Road oil, rubberized asphalt, fencing materials, things like that. There's, furniture contracts, there's office supplies, all sorts of things. So I don't know how extensively these are used. I do know when it comes to vehicles and road materials that they use them a lot. I don't know how often cities and counties use them for some of these other things. There are a number of other organizations out there that do cooperative purchasing, and there are Montana cities and counties and school districts that are part of them. You've probably heard of NASPO. In fact, it's mentioned right down here, NASPO. Sourcewell used to be known as the National Joint Powers Alliance. There's an entity called Montana Cooperative Services. But it's important, and then the idea is that by banding together, these entities can get a better deal rather than going out and approaching vendors one-on-one. And so it's just important to know when those exist. So if you sell office furniture, for example, there might not be an opportunity for you to sell directly because they always buy their office furniture off of one of these cooperative agreements. So just something important to pay attention to. So, all right. I already went 10 minutes longer than I wanted to, but I'm going to unmute everybody. So that's your fair warning. So if you got something embarrassing going on in the background, take control of your mute right now. All right, so you can either post a question in the chat box.
Those two things at all.
Okay, someone talking. All right, any questions?
16 by 30. With a single car garage door. Just like a 9 by 7 or whatever. And then that way it just comes a room on it.
Okay, I'm muting everybody. If you have any questions, please pose them in the chat box. And if you don't know where the chat box is, I don't know if your screen looks like mine, but up at the top, you should have something that looks like a cartoon speech bubble. You click on that. No questions? Roz, are you still with me? Roz, are you still with me? Okay.
I was muted. Don't.
Anything else that you would like to add that I skipped over or didn't pay enough attention to?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I learned a couple of things, so I didn't know before, so it was good information for me too.
Well, that's good. Oh, I will mention, as long as we still have 24 people on the line, that we do have some additional webinars coming up, and Roz is going to be hosting one of those. So if we go to the events page on the Montana PTAC website, you can see here.
And we do have one question when you're ready, Phillip.
Oh, okay. So the next one is the one hosted by Roz on May 8th, and that's searching for awarded federal contracts and conducting market research. And again, these are all free. And then I'm co-hosting one with Project Spectrum on May 27th. If you do any business at all with the Department of Defense and you haven't been paying attention to cybersecurity requirements, you definitely should attend this one. So it's going to be talking at a very basic level about the new upcoming certification for cyber compliance and what it will take to be level 1 compliant, which is going to be the bare minimum. So, all right, question, is there a site where one can find out who wins the bid? So again, and I apologize, I should have devoted more time to the meeting minutes. I kind of cut myself short on time, but that is where I would find them if I'm looking at local. Now with federal and state, it's a lot easier, and your PTAC counselor would be happy to show you where to find those. And actually, that's going to be the topic of Roz's webinar for federal opportunities. But really, when it comes to the local entities, you're going to have to look at those meeting minutes. I have not found anywhere else, but the meeting minutes is what you're going to have to kind of browse through in most cases. If you do decide to subscribe to Smart Procure, that might make it easier to find those because it'll go out and search across multiple cities and counties. But that's all I'm aware of at this point, Sandra. Any other questions? Unfortunately, I don't think I can see when people are typing. So if you're typing a long question, you may want to type just a short one to let me know. Let me know that you're typing. And again, I don't know if everybody caught this at the beginning, or I think I sent it in my email, but Defense Logistics Agency does like us to keep track of who participates in our group trainings. And some of you, when you entered this training, you just entered under a generic name like viewer 10, viewer 11, what have you. So it would be helpful to me if you could identify yourself. I do get a report from Join Me on who attended, but if your name's not in there, it's not going to help me a whole lot. So, okay, well, I don't see any other questions. And again, if you need follow-up on any of this, feel free to reach out to me if I'm your PTAC counselor, or if you're in a different service area, reach out to your local PTAC counselor and they'll be happy to provide you with additional training. All right, have a good day.